Hello, my name is James Malone. I'm a sergeant based in Laoghaire-Garda Station. I'm the crime prevention officer for the region of Laoghaire-Rathdown, and I work out of a number of different Garda stations. There are 6 Garda stations in the area: Cabinteely, Shankill, Dunleary, Dundrum, Blackrock and Stepaside. The purpose of this talk this morning is just to give crime prevention advice to you coming up to the winter months, and just to give you some general trends that are happening at the moment. The evenings are getting darker now and the mornings are getting darker, and we always see a spike in burglaries coming up at this time of the year. So our advice would be that now is a good time to look at your house, look at the security at your house, and to give it a check. If you have an alarm, make sure it's working, make sure you use it. There's no point having an alarm if you don't turn it on. Make sure all the sensors are working on it. A lot of times we would go to houses after a house has been broken into and either the alarm wasn't set or parts of the alarm were broken. Also, it's a good time to check the locks on your doors. Make sure you lock your doors, front doors and back doors. The main point of entries for burglaries at this time of the year is the front, the rear door and windows. So just make sure that you have your doors locked. Secondly, I'd like to remind you to look at your lighting at the house. Check the sensor lights. It's a cheap way just to check and make sure your lights are working to give good illumination around the house. Also, do not keep your car keys or anything close to the door. We have had cases where keys have been taken and cars have been taken. So just keep all your stuff away from the doors. Set your alarm. I have a routine every night before I go to bed that I check my front door, back door, windows, check the alarm, and I also check that my car is locked. We also recommend not to keep large amounts of cash in your house. If you have expensive jewellery, make sure it's locked away. Make sure you have photos taken of it. One of the big problems around the region here is that a lot of people are not locking their cars during the daytime and at night time. We have criminals going around at night time just checking car doors. They're walking up and down streets, they're going into people's driveways, and all they do is just check and see if car doors are open or closed. They will take anything. They will take sponges, buckets, cash, keys, you name it, laptops, anything out of the car. So just make sure that your cars are locked. 33% of all the break-ins of cars are from cars that are left open. So that's nearly a third of all the vehicles are left open. And the main times that happens at is from midnight to 7 a.m. So again, as part of your nightly routine, when you're checking your doors and your alarm, go out and check your car. Make sure it's locked and don't leave any valuables in the car. Another thing to be mindful of is that if somebody calls to your door, always ask for ID. We have people calling to houses looking to sell products, looking for maybe a drink of water, a pen, trying to sell you something. Always ask for ID. If a guard calls to your door, a guard will always have their ID with them. And if you're not sure if they're a guard, ask them for their ID. An example of an ID is here. This is my ID, and this is what a Garda ID looks like. Don't be afraid to ask. Again, with service providers, utility providers, always ask for ID. If somebody's wearing a high-vis jacket, a mask, or they say they're from your local council, don't be afraid to ask for ID. You do not have to let them into your house. If you're unsure, you can always ring either your local council or your service providers to see if that person works for them. If you don't want to hand out your details to somebody that you're not sure of, we have cards at the Garda stations, business cards that you can hand out through the letterbox. The reputable business person will fill out their details and they will hand it back through the letterbox. The main thing is you do not have to open your door to anybody, and if in doubt, keep them out. We'd have lots of bogus callers looking to do your driveways, your roofs, your gardens, and a lot of these people do substandard work. They will agree a fee with you, and then when the work is done, they will ask for an extortionate amount of money. We've had cases where a fee has been agreed and suddenly it's gone up tenfold and they're looking for thousands. Only deal with tradespeople that you trust, are reputable. If you're not sure, ask neighbours, ask your neighbourhood watch group, ask a community group, can they recommend any reputable tradespeople that can do work on your house. When you're out and about, always be aware of your personal property, your phone, your car keys, your wallet, your purse. We've had cases where people have been followed out of banks, post offices after withdrawing money, and they've been followed to shops or pharmacies and the money has been taken. So always be aware if you are taking money out of banks, post offices, wherever, just be mindful of your surroundings. Don't be walking out counting the money down the street. Be discreet. We'd recommend not to be taking out large amounts of money anyway. Again, when you're out in shops and we're coming up to the Christmas period, the shops are going to be busier, lots more people in retail. Just be mindful of where your handbag is, where your phone is, where your wallet is. When you're having a cup of coffee or you're out socialising, just make sure you know where your phone is. A lot of cases, phones are taken and they hold a lot of data, personal pictures, there are all kinds of details on their phones. So just be careful, mind your personal property. Okay, one of the big problems we're having at the moment is telephone scams and email scams. During COVID, we had a lot of fake phone calls to people, emails to people, pretending they were from the HSE and telling people to go for COVID checks. But now that's changed and we're getting a lot of, we call them spoof phone calls and emails to members of the public. What they're looking for really is your bank account details. They want your money. They want your bank details, they want PIN details. Every day, even myself, I'm receiving these calls and I just hang up. I do not entertain. Sometimes they're automated messages, sometimes there's a voice message. A lot of times these calls are purporting to be from banks, government buildings, delivery companies, saying that packages or your bank account, stuff like that, there's a problem with them. Just make sure you do not give out any personal details, any account details to these. Do not entertain them and hang up. Block the number if you have to, and also delete the text. Just be careful if you're purchasing stuff online, items online. The advice An Garda Síochána would give would be informed, be alert, and be secure. If a deal is too good to be true, then more than likely it is too good to be true. So just be mindful, coming up to Christmas, when you're online purchasing, just be careful and make sure you're purchasing from a reputable organisation. In the last year and a half, we've all been affected by COVID. We've all had our movements restricted and we've all been in our houses a lot more than we would have liked. It is now coming to the time that we can start moving again, travel, been out and about in town, socialising. Coming up to Christmas, everywhere is going to be busier. So just please don't be complacent. Look after yourself, mind yourself, make sure you know where you're going, have a plan, mind your personal property and be careful. I'd just like to thank you very much for today. I wish it was in person, but unfortunately it's online at the moment. If you ever need to contact me, you can contact me at Dún Laoghaire Garda Station. Sergeant James Malone, leave a message for me and I'll get back to you. Thank you.